But when you decided to marry your husband, how did your family feel about it?
My family's always been kind of outgoing. Even if they don't care for somebody, they always tell me, it's your life. If that's how you want to live, then, go live it. I still get sly remarks every now and then about, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it. And why you can't do this and why you can't do that. But at the end of the day, if that's your life, that's your life. They support it, and they essentially, they try to make sure they're doing for you what they need to do. As far as them, they still do what they do.
Yeah.
But
the part that's interesting for you is that your family has known him since he was a 14-year-old boy. So you would think that they would already be on board. You're like, you know what? That's just,
Yeah, so with that, they didn't really know that was him at 14.
Yeah.
Throwing rocks at the window and shit like that. But, life changes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can we have this PG-13?
Yeah.
These people know what shit mean.
I know. No, he would, he'd be throwing rocks at the window. My family, they're just like, oh, here we go, or sometimes they didn't hear it, but me. It was more so me than these other people that were bad, but... Oh, man.
No, we'll talk about that on another episode.
Yeah, okay.
Shay, what did your family think about this union when you decided to get married?
To be honest, I was on my own since I was 15, and my family look at me as if, everything that I do, I'm pretty much like, they can't tell me nothing because they haven't really been there to help me along the way. So it's like, well, same as being it. Like, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. But beating my other half of the family, like my dad's side of the family, they're like, are you sure, Shay? Like, what happened the first time? And I say first time for all the listeners, we have little ins and outs that we go through, but for the most part, they really couldn't tell me anything either. I'm grown now. I'm 30 years old. So it's not something that you are able to talk me out of or talk me into. It's you either support it or you don't.
Tachi, what did your family think about the marriage when you decided?
Family, I got the blues when I tell you. I got told that I was being brainwashed, that I was being manipulated by the word. He was using the word as a way to get multiple women. I was weak-minded. I got told a lot of things behind that. But overall, and originally, just to be transparent, originally I did let that eat me up. I did let that kind of soak in my brain because I'm like, well, maybe he is. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he is using me as a way to just get multiple women. You know what I'm saying? But that's...
Have you met him?
Right.
You don't need no help. You don't need that.
You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
I'm saying at
You might say, why us?
You know what I'm saying? At that time frame, you know what I'm saying, I was just getting to know him. I was in the courtship part. So it was kind of like, I know my family more than I knew him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm staring toward maybe my family is right. But overall, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets of furthering my relationship with him. My family still kind of isn't on board with it. But overall, I can't make them happy and make me happy at the same time. So it's like it's either you're going to want to see me happy or you just going to be on standby because y'all living your life. I can't live my life revolved around y'all and what y'all want and what y'all think. So I further on moved on with how I felt with the situation. I still get a little slack here and there. It's like, you know what I'm saying? How could you be with a man that has multiple wives? Like, when does he have time for you when he got this wife and this wife and this wife? And it's like, look, we making it work over here. Y'all worry about what y'all got over there.
That's part of the biggest problem is like a lot of people, they have this westernized stance on marriage. They have this westernized stance on monogamy. Like, honestly, that's part of our biggest problem is what we were brought up in is not what the Bible speaks about. Now, you did have Rachel and Isaac. Rachel and Isaac were monogamous. There wasn't another wife, and it was love at first sight. I love reading that particular story in the Bible. I'm sorry. What did I say, Rachel?
Girl, because I'm sitting here confused.
I honestly don't care for monogamous relationships
No,
anymore.
I get it, but I'm talking about from a Bible standpoint. But biblically, they were love at first sight. So,
But at the same
Yeah,
time, like,
facts.
you know, love at first sight, and there still was multiple.
no, not with Rebecca and Isaac. It was just them.
It's not recorded that he had any other wives.
It was just them
Isaac,
Hold up.
the son of Abraham.
before Jacob.
But I thought he was trying to get the sister Leah.
That's
another story.
Rachel. And,
He wasn't
and
in love
Jacob.
with Leah, but
No,
That's another story.
Jacob
Now
and
y'all
Rachel.
confusing me because y'all thought.
Okay, you had Abraham and Sarah,
Rachel.
Then you had Isaac and Rebecca.
Okay.
and then
you
they
had
had Jacob, the twins, and Esau.
That's what confused me.
Yeah.
Okay. We gonna scratch all that, but
All right. So, Isaac and Rebecca, it was love at first sight, and you can see how their union came together and all that fun stuff. So you do have some stories of monogamy. You know, when you do your research and then you maybe witness a family that's doing good and polygynous, which by the way, poly means many for those that are not aware. This girl, I brought up the flashlight. Okay, so I feel the same way. When I met Ahava and Hasmonea and our husband, I felt the same way. Like, I could not imagine a world, a life without them included. And I often say to each of them is like, my marriage would not be a success if their marriages also were not a success.
Absolutely.
So my family, like I said in the last episode, this was not my first attempt at polygyny, but this is my first success at polygyny. So my family was on board. They were hands-on. I can't say they were hands-on in the beginning. That's because I wasn't speaking to them, but that's a whole other episode. They supported it. Once they spoke to him and they got to know him, they were hands-on. But when I first talked to them about polygyny, they just were kind of like, oh, that's a little bit weird, but okay. Because for them, you know, I had always shown signs of being responsible and kind of like attentive to what it is that I'm doing. So they didn't think that it was weird.
And I just want you to know, her mama is my mama.
They like text each other and I don't even know about it.
Yeah, I love Miss Kim.
dope.
That's my baby. Like, I will never forget that day that she gave me a hug. I really needed that hug that day. Like, but you know how you need, like, not just a regular hug, but a mom's hug.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know if she felt my spirit that day, but she gave me a hug, and it was like, from that day forward, that's Mama Kim right there.
And
like,
that's the thing. My family, like, that's how we were raised. Is like, it's just love, not on some like love is love. You know how they be speaking in the alphabet community, but it, like, if it's good for you and it's righteous, and this man is treating you right, no matter if he got this one, that one, however many, as long as like he's doing you right and he's doing what he spoke to you in his vows or whatever he claimed to do with you, then you're good. Ahava had shared a video yesterday about an older woman. Somebody was asking her like, hey, so how you feel if your man had another woman or whatever? And everything that she spoke it spoke volumes. It's like, hold on, as long as he's doing whatever he's supposed to be doing for me, then we're good. And you can't really feel no type of way if he's doing something else for somebody else. As long as he's doing whatever he promised or committed to me. I think Ahava's love story is a little bit different than the rest of ours. So Ahava, how did your family feel?
Okay, well, I, for the last 15 to 20 years, was raised up in a Hebraic family. I wasn't a wife, but I was a member of the family. And I was introduced to him through the family. So, and they would tell me, my first introduction to him was, go downstairs and meet your husband. So my issue wasn't polygyny. My issue was our age difference. I'm like, what? Because we have a large gap in our ages. So
Do we want to talk about the age difference?
I think it's relevant to a degree because, you know,
and we're not talking about a spiritual age difference. We're talking.
No, I know that. But when I met my husband, he was 28 and I was 60 something. 62.
Okay.
So that's a big age difference.
62, really?
Yes. It was in 2019, right? Yeah. So it was a big age difference. So when I thought they were joking. So to me, it wasn't the polygyny because the family was a polygynous family. We, believed in the scriptures, and my daughter was married as a wife to a man who had more than one wife. So that, was something that I had been accustomed to. Okay, but the age difference to me is like, are you guys kidding me? But the mother of the house, she would say, well, you don't think of him as being 28, think of him as being 82, because everything about him was a wisdom or someone who I could reverence, because I know so much, and I've been introduced to a lot of men along the way, but I didn't want to have them submitting to me because I knew the word the way I did. Until I met this husband who burst my bubble.
Yeah. I love you guys' love story, because I was present for your ceremony. This is before I even knew that I was going to be a wife to this man. And it was beautiful. I decorated your guys' wedding room.
Right.
And
she says it was a ceremony. What happened was he was coming. We got on the phone. And I they were talking. I didn't even know. I had never spoken to this man before I married him, other than, in a group setting. I had no idea that this was not something that they were just being funny about, because, the age different and all that can't be true. I didn't really know until he helped me out of the car one day and we touched hands, and I just knew. I said, oh, I know who he is. This is Benya, and I, wanted to help, whatever I could do to help. And that's how it started. So when we eventually did talk on the phone, it was September 26, 2019. And once we hung up the phone, I felt as though I was married at that moment. That was my commitment at that moment. Though it took a couple weeks before he came to get me. Yeah. So when he was coming to get me, and we don't do ceremonies and all that. However, I want to give him something, which was the foot washing ceremony that you read about in scriptures. And I came from a pretty big family, and I wanted everybody to participate. So it's been beautiful.
So to answer the question, your family was 100% on board.
Yes. Even the family that I have 2 daughters outside of the Hebraic community, and they received it as well.
That's my question. I was gonna ask, you as a Hebraic family, because they kind of know the customs standards, and it's not about age or those situations. Outside of the Hebraic family, those other relatives.
Yeah, well, I only have 2 daughters, and they're accustomed to it as well.
I find is that more people that are not in our faith are more hands-on and accepting of our type of marriage than the ones that are in the Hebrew community. Because it always seems like the women in the Hebrew faith are like, oh no, that is not of Yah. That is they have 1,000,001 scriptures and excuses to say that this is not for them. When we were built on that, we were built on polygyny. Jacob had 4 wives, and we came from that. So I always find that to be hilarious.
And I also find too that when you talk about polygyny,
it's coming from my family are Christian, so they were brought. I guess they have their mindset of, the God wasn't how they said. God was not with it, but he was not against it. It wasn't considered a sin.
So if you read,
to have multiple wives,
if you read the Bible from front to end, you'll find that our Creator is very specific and diligent in what it is that he speaks and what it is that he says to us. So if he does not want us to do something, if it is a command, he is going to say it. He's going to let us know. So I think that that's funny when they try to give us those type of excuses like, oh, well, God's not for it, and he's not this and he's not that. Okay, he would have written it out. And then you'll find that in the scriptures, he tells David, listen, had you asked, I would have gave you more. So
yeah, and that's true, and that's what I wanted to talk about as well. We all read the same Bible, the Bible that whether the Christians are reading it or whether the Hebraic community is reading it, it's the same book. However, when it's the simplest things, for instance, the dietary laws of not eating unclean food, unclean meats. You cannot talk to a Christian about the Christmas tree. You cannot talk to one about And I'm not trying to make this
look, hold on. What's going on with the Christmas tree?
Right.
Let's go ahead.
And Jeremiah 11 talks about not bringing in the tree and hanging the tinsels on it and all the stuff that they do.
That was one of the first verses that I actually read that I guess gave me an introduction to Yah, was Jeremiah 10, because I was big on Christmas. I was big on Halloween before knowing better. And you read it, it's clear as day. It's describing the Christmas tree. So I didn't take nothing else from there.
When I read it, I was a kid, 10 years old when I read it. I went and ran into my mom and I said, look what it says. Isn't that talking about Christmas? Mom says, girl, go put that, go in there. She didn't have time for me.
Yeah.
So nobody had time for me. So it was something that I always pondered upon until I came into the truth. So with that being said, we're taking it off of polygyny.
Yeah, no.
But these subjects are really relevant.
Yeah,
so I think that we're going to have a wonderful podcast with all of these different subjects that we can talk on.
Well, I would like to thank you, ladies, for giving me a little bit of your time this evening, talking about your families and where you came from. Girl,
I was just gonna say, if you guys have any questions that you want answered, please put it in there. Give us topics.
Yeah, definitely drop your questions, your concerns, if you have any, into the comments field. And Shay, what else you want them to do?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Now she's Mexican.
Right. That's about it.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on to this 2.5 episode. Again, make sure that you drop your comments or questions, concerns in the I don't know what it was.
This is gonna be hard
in the comments section.
I'm just trying to figure out
And make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms at the Womenism. That's Women IZM. And we will holla at ya again. Holla at ya again on my podcast.
Holla at ya. Like Cleopatra.
Period.
Oh my gosh.
Period.
All right. Listen, thank you guys. We appreciate you. Have a good one.
Deuces.